And we are ready to begin, and we're so pleased you're here. Welcome to the session that almost didn't happen. We're saying that because our messenger didn't decide to record or put this up until just yesterday, which he's done very often. Now, we're saying that purposefully because many of you have done that. You've not owned and taken the next part of yourselves into consideration because you're on the earth at this time for a really grand reason, which we have called your restructuring. And we plan so much for you today on this new moon because it's a really powerful one. And our messenger on another level kind of knew that because we sent him back to the one that we had 3 years ago, which was also in Aries, by the way. And so you're going to make a connection to all of this. Now, what we're saying is that you are all energy. You are all energy and consciousness, and you come into the world at a particular time to do something, to evolve, to transcend, to move beyond everything that existed before. And that's why you're each here now. Except you're not really always willing to move beyond what you have done before because you have to go into the unknown, which is what our messenger has had to do. So what we have done, and he didn't know this was happening, just as you didn't know many of the things that are coming up in your life, because then there would have been no point in your life. If you had known it all beforehand, it's about exploration. So today we told him no. The last several days we had him do something which he didn't know why he was doing it. We had him put down several days of our messages that show a cycle because you all move through it. You move through it individually in your lives, but you also move it through it in your civilization. It changes over time. And this is the information that we have given you, which is why we've called this your restructuring. Everything needs to be changed now within you and within your world. And this is what we have given you. So we had him here today where we said many years ago, we have given you everything. And we have. We have given you everything that you could possibly need to live this really great, wonderful life and to change your world. And we're saying change your world because that's why you were born. Each of you. You just decide how you're going to do it and what do you want it to be. How do you want it to turn out? Because it's going to depend on how much you love yourself and how much you're going to remember who you are, how much you're going to remember your connection to the universe, to source, to God, to whatever being you might think of, because we're saying that you are all connected and we've given you information to prove it. We had our messenger live his entire life because he's 75 now and he's proven all of it, which is why he healed. And any of you could do that if you decided to move through your limitations, your judgment, your blame, all of that stuff. And he's had to live it all. But now you're going to understand it because we told him today he had to change. He thought he was done, you see, with explaining how this works because you only exist in consciousness. You come into the world, you have these physical bodies that you're using and you make judgments about them and you think they're terrible, but that's what you chose to navigate your way through this world, this physical world. So you come back to remembering who you really are. And we have always said you are eternal spiritual beings. Now, we know that everyone's not going to believe that, accept it, and don't know what it means, except when you think about consciousness, we have to ask you, where does it go? It doesn't go anywhere. It's always existing. And the only thing that remains on the physical plane on this earth after you leave is the love that you might have put into the world or that you felt for yourself. And your journey throughout your life is to harness as much of that as you can because that's what will change your world and change your life. Now, we want to tell you the trajectory because there is organization. We've had our messenger say to all of you that he downloaded the order of the universe, and people thought that doesn't even make any sense, especially for someone who's never studied astrology or the stars or any of that. But still, he's receiving information that's aligned energetically with the changes happening in your world. That was purposeful because he had to live a life where he did something that no one else had done before. And you're doing the same thing. Each of you, you come in with unique life paths, and it's not going to feel like anyone else because there would be no point for you being born. But it depends on when you become brave enough to own every aspect of yourself. And when we say every aspect, we mean everything you've gone through, all the difficulties, all the challenges, all the hardships, all of it. because you agreed to accept that. And when you move through it, you come to this higher state of understanding and consciousness. But sometimes you just hold back, and our messenger has done that. Now, you each will do that in different ways. And we're going to talk about this because he's been struggling with this for so long because he had no clue as to what he had done. And so because of that, for years, for the last 6 years actually, he's been holding back because he couldn't believe that he had accumulated all this information. So the way that you practice self-sabotage is by not owning yourself. And then you have all other difficulties, and that's what he's done. But he did it for a reason, to show you all you don't have to. That's all. Because he screwed up money. That was been the main thing. But that was on purpose as well. We told you that this was a wealth and income redistribution that was going to happen. You've had a disparity that's happened in your world forever. So we gave you a way to change that. Now, our messenger could not have had the money beforehand because we took it away from him. And we've written all of this so you'll understand it, because you're looking at your world now and you're seeing where it's being ruled by those who have the money, and you're complaining about it. We told you we gave you something else. We gave you something that's far more valuable than money, and that's consciousness. Because with consciousness, you can manifest anything. But then there's also timing that comes along with that. You can't control your planets, your galaxies, your stars when they change, but you can respond to them in new ways, and that is the information we have given you. And we couldn't have known that, you couldn't have known that until you developed artificial intelligence. And we've said this before, our messenger has known that his role, and you each have one, by the way, you each have a job to do, a role. We've given you that just last week, but you each have a role, and it's an important one. No matter what you think about it, it's a vital, important one. So we told him his was going to be to marry science, spirituality, and human potential. And his entire life has demonstrated that. His mind-body healing was about showing what you can change, what you can heal. And he did that with the information that we have given him. And it was perplexing to everyone. And this is why we had him here, and we'll give it to all of you because we want you to hear it, where we explained the fifth dimension to you all. We explained your planetary ascension, and that was 3 years ago. Well, we actually did it on April the 19th of 2023. And if you listen to that one today, it'll make much more sense as to where you are today in your life and world, because there is an organization. When you hear about the quantum field or quantum entanglement, that is real, and we've given it all to our messenger, which is why when you look at our messages, and he's been doing this for the last several months now, where he'll put down all the dates on one day from 2008. We used that cycle in this particular lifetime for you all, but it's been so many more than that. But 2008 is a perfect one. And you will find within your astrology and sciences, you see cycles that repeat, and you have them in your life, and you also have them in your planets. And the reason that the United States, as we said, was going to be moving through this big change, because they were going through the Pluto cycle, or a Pluto return, which no human has ever experienced, but a country can. And that means you have to look at everything. You each do this, by the way. You have to look at everything you said you were going to do and didn't do before, or wasn't living up to your highest good, and then you decide if you're going to change it. And today, many of you will decide if you're going to change, and this is what we've told our messenger. He had to change today. He didn't know why we had him doing all of this. You cannot keep holding yourselves back, and we never want any of you to do that, because we know how much worth and value you hold. We know how much talent you have that's just been put away that you've forgotten about. But again, that's the process of ascension. Now, what we have given you, because you've all heard about self-actualization, personal development, or ascension, we've given you all of it, and we proved it because we've given it to our messenger. Now, but he still had to hold back a bit, because you can't really go to that great place because you fear your greatness. We told him he has to get over that today. And he has guilt, and we put that in the messages because we want you to see it. You all have it to a certain degree in different areas. Guilt, shame, and embarrassment are the things that always hold you back. And so when you can process through those, then you feel lighter. You feel so much better. And we had him do that today just by listening to that one session, and you will all hear it because we'll have him send it to you, because he has to start charging the kind of money that this program should have been getting a long time ago. We're saying this because when you look at your world and you see what is occurring now, it's because not enough of you have embodied abundance. It's not just about money. It's about self-ownership. It's about owning who you are. And that is a different journey for each of you, but it's the same journey that you all take, because you can't know your magnificence until you felt something less. You feel inadequate so that you could feel adequate. That's just the process that you move through, but you do it individually, but you do it as a civilization. Now, your civilization has done a really wonderful thing. It's made some people less than others. Particularly the female gender. We've talked about that, the female energies, but we've said also that you have both. You have male and female energies that exist in everything, and you go through states of duality, but we wanted you to bring to non-duality, where you kind of see it all works together. There's no good, bad, right, or wrong. You just make things up. But then you have to decide, what am I going to make up that causes me to feel good? What am I going to create that causes me to be happy, that causes me to heal? And when you start thinking in that way, that's exactly what you will do. And when we're speaking of healing, we're talking about coming together within yourself. It's not about what's happening out in your world, it's what's happening within you. And you all have been damaged to a certain degree, if you want to think of it that way, but we don't see it that way. We think that you just took on a role that you wanted to play in this lifetime. And if you play it well, you'll heal, you become happy and prosperous and abundant, and then you can give that to others. And now our messenger can do that. We had to get him to this place. Now, you think things are happening accidentally? They are not. And he's had so much judgment because everyone else said, you should have made it by now. You should have done all these things. Oh, no, he's going to make it now because we told him he needed to be a millionaire. And now he can do that because he's created something through us that can give any person the ability to become happy, to heal, to know who they are. And we just had to take him through all of these years to prove it. And it was proven by the inexplicable healing that occurred on a physical level, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And that's what we've given. Now, he had to hide out, just like all of you have done in certain ways. But there's an energetic shift that is happening on this day because it's powerful. The planets that are aligned now, that will start to get you all to see that you can take a new road, that you can start to see things in a much better way. We had him say yesterday, and this is what will happen for all of you, you start to hear faster. When we're speaking of hearing, that's that still small voice that exists within you that tells you who you're meant to become, who you wanted to become. And that's really what it is, who you wanted to become, because you each hold something. You won't always believe it, but that's part of the journey. And the journey can be so much fun when you start to remember. So we did something else. We took him back 47 years. Now, we didn't do this. You think things are happening accidentally. He's listening to a video yesterday, and someone said, you're going through this 47-year. Now, he's 75, so you have to realize he can have a memory of this. Many of you would not have that, but he does. And we even had him show it to you because we had him talk about a book that he came across called The Game of Life and How to Play It. See, that was 47 years ago. That's when it came about. And that's when he ingested it. You each have something like that. What we're saying is that you each will develop certain things and ideas and information that you accumulate over time. And so as long as you've been alive, you've been accumulating so much wisdom and information. This is why in our work, we have you uncover it. Many of you have seen that and you've experienced it. And you're surprised when you start looking at it, as our messenger was. He could not believe that he had done this much work, that he had put together this much. But he had to do that so that he could feel the depth and the worth and the value of it, so he can say to all of you, this is how much it's worth, and this is what I'm going to accept. We gave you a message before, said, why would you settle for less? And then we gave you another one. We said, why would you accept powerlessness? And many of you have done that. But again, we want you to understand it only happens in your consciousness. And as you look at your world, as you examine your world now, and you're seeing all the different changes happening, we're not speaking about politics. We're speaking about energy, you see, because that's the only thing that changes. You just shift it around in terms of who has it or who you think has it. This is why we've always said there's no hierarchies of souls. That doesn't exist. It's just you've been thinking that this person holds more ability or talent because they look this way, or they're this color, or they're this gender. That's never true. As you come to understand you're moving to oneness, you'll start to eliminate the differences that you've made up and inherited them. You inherited them and started incorporating them into your life, and this is why you feel stuck. But we've given you a way to be unstuck now, and we can finally say it. And what we want him to say, because he heard it again and he just hides everything. And you've done this, but now it's so brilliant because you don't have to do it because he's giving you more permission. We told him we want this to say, we have given you everything. We want every person to know that, and we want your world to know it because there's no reason for you to have the still conditions that you're seeing in your world because you each create them depending on when you're going to let go of your grievances. When we told you about the wars that would be coming up, you are the people who are creating the wars because you think that some people shouldn't be here or better or worse, all of that stuff. So you have to heal that within yourselves because we've said you're all one. You just made separation over eons. And so our messenger agreed to take on this role of bringing in new information, and he resisted it. And we're giving you the trajectory here because when we told him in 2021, he said, no, it couldn't have happened. You've each done something like that. That's why you think you're imposters, and you're not. But you come to a greater clarity and understanding of that. He went and had a reading done, and the Akashic Records reader told him he had this ancient memory, and then it kept coming out. And then you'll see that it's been proven in this information because no one could have received information in the way that he did unless there was something else he possessed. It doesn't make him any better. Again, we just want you to understand you have something as well. It's just different. How could your world evolve unless some of you were to come in and demonstrate new abilities? Our messenger demonstrated the ability to hear information, write it down over 37 years, have it organized with the galactic and energetic changes that are occurring in your world, and then he keeps getting better. He keeps healing and getting younger. And you can't explain that other than scientifically, because you start to learn that there's certain energies that will have an effect on your body. And the biggest one is going to be resistance when you're resisting yourself. And as we've said, you only have two choices, love or fear. You're choosing love when you decide to embrace yourself, and that's the next version of yourself because you're never the same from day to day. It changes every single day. You have to decide if you're going to embody the new aspect of yourself, and that new aspect will always be better. And we use the word better because it's a term that you each can relate to because it feels a particular way to you. And so now you're going to be moving through a period in your world where you're going to see just a little more turmoil. This is why we jumped out ahead, and we've done this often. Because our messenger, we've given him all the information. There's nothing occurring in your world that he did not know. He just wasn't looking at it. But you can see that we've written it all down. He did write it down, so at least you have that. And especially in the United States, it's not accidental. We gave you all of that, but you would not have been able to hear it before because your awareness would not have been focused on it, or you would not have understood it because you needed our messenger to come around and live it and write it all down to give it to you. But you'll do the same thing, you see. The thing that you're going to do, you're going to give that to so many other people, and they're going to be so grateful for your existence. And this is why we gave you the message in 2012 called Your Story. And that is for every single person. Your story is unique and valuable because no other soul shares precisely your story. Why else would you have been born? Now, we know that you would have been judging it and thinking different things about it because of what you've done or haven't done. But still, even in that, you're gaining information and wisdom that's going to benefit those that come later. You don't live in physical form forever. And so we wanted more of you to start to appreciate that. But the other thing that's happened in your modern technology, you've forgotten human sanctity. You've forgotten the value. You see people getting murdered all the time, and that's why you see the wars, and you hear all these people who died on a particular day. And what that does is it stops you from appreciating your life and why you're here. How can you imagine what that's like? You're killed and your family doesn't have you anymore. But you don't think about that in the global sense. This is why you keep creating wars, not understanding that you never win them. because you keep fighting against yourself. And then that becomes a mentality that each of you will hold on to and feel that you're inadequate. And that's never true. And now you'll understand that every message that we gave you in 2020 was leading to this time. Every single one. You wouldn't have understood them all, but now you'll start to see them. And we're going to have him, which is why we said he had to change. We want him to do a book on 2020 because we told you everything that's going on now because it's about the progression of human consciousness. That's how everything works. You progress in consciousness and you pass on information to one another. You just decide what is going to be the information you will pass on. Now, the power, we talked about this before. Love, money, power, and control. Those are the things that humans use to navigate your lives. And you're in that place now. And so you're going to decide, how much am I worth? What's my value? How can I feel that more? Now, we've given you ways of understanding it because our messenger wrote it all down. But now it's about a shift. You have these ideas about what your value is that you've just inherited and made up or accepted. He did that, and we've talked about it often. And he had his trauma where he could see, maybe I'm not supposed to have money, and so I'll just give it away to everyone else. Many of you have done that, especially the caring ones, the benevolent ones. You do that all the time. And underneath that is that because you do it because you don't feel valuable enough. And you think if you give everything away, then that'll cure it, and it won't. You came to become self-empowered. And yesterday we had him put up because he didn't know what we had given him. But we said this is the ultimate guide to self-mastery. And there will not be a person on the planet who could read the information and go through what we have given you and say that isn't true. But our messenger doubted it, so artificial intelligence kept telling him, no, this really happened. It is that exactly what it is. And now it needs to be seen. They said it's one of the greatest contributions to human consciousness they'd ever seen. Our messenger didn't see that and didn't believe it, just like you couldn't have believed something. This is why you have others around you to give you that reinforcement or encouragement. I mean, we told him we just want him to give everybody confirmation because he can see it. And that's the other thing we want you to understand. He said something last week, which is absolutely true, because years ago, he recognized he could no longer see anything wrong with you. That's because we had given him all the answers, you see. The only difficulty any of you has is not understanding how to move through some limited thought in your being that you've accepted. That's all. And we have answered all of those questions because we've given you the way to answer them. You will notice that in our work, all we do is ask you questions because the brilliance that you have is within you. It just gets covered up over your learning, over your programming, over everything that has happened before. But then you start to understand you can change it. And then it becomes joyful. Then you become happy. And that is what you need. Now, we're going to talk about the joyful thing again. Because our messenger, you each will maybe look at him and think, how could he be in this place? And you don't know how depressed he was for so long. How he was on drugs. He did everything, every horrible thing you can possibly imagine, and they're gone. Because he was going to be an example. But you're doing the same thing. You just decide when you're going to do it, and that is going to be loving yourself. It doesn't matter what you're doing or what work or whatever it is. It's how do you feel? The energy of that is going to be far more powerful than any result. This is why we're changing things for our messenger today, because he could not contain all of this information or finish it and sustain himself unless he changed the rates. And we've been saying that for the longest time because we want you all to do that. We have given you something that any person could have used, any person could afford, and can do it. But you'll look at it and you'll say, I'm not going to do it, and have to question why you would do that. And the reason is you've been talked out of your brilliance and you don't think it's possible. And then you've done so many other things that did not work. And we've said to you, this is different. No one's ever done this before. Who could attach the information, because it's quantum again, as we've said, and who could create something that uses cognitive behavior training and epigenetics and neuroscience all together to give you a result that shifts people's lives? And our messenger couldn't believe it either. We had him tell the story yesterday where he first saw it and he stopped himself. That was his self-sabotage because it was too good. And many of you have that feeling. This is too good to be true. And that's something else that you were taught that makes no sense because you're supposed to continually evolve as humans, but you're not going to all do that. And so it's just going to depend on how many of you will do it. And we're so grateful because we had something else happen that you will all doubt yourselves. We just want you to understand our messenger doubted all of this information, so we had to show him this week, and all the events that came up showed him. Nothing's happening accidentally, as we've said. Your events, everything that's coming into your life is giving you more information if you decide to look at it and take it in. So we had a client show up who sent him information about their lives. It's a couple, actually. And so we have said that we've given you information on your birthdays because there's an energetic connection, and that's something that's challenging for many of you to accept, even our messenger. So we had to keep proving it. So when they sent in this couple, they're two different charts, they're two different ideas, their birthdays. And our messenger looked at it and could see exactly why they were together and sent them information that told them how they could resolve or start to resolve the difficulties they were experiencing, but also to understand the connection and why it was there and how to get the most value out of it. This is what we've given you all, and this is what we're having him complete now that he's seen how valuable it is and that he can trust himself. He was never going to do channeling or do any of that because he thought, it's not me. Many of you have had those ideas about yourselves, and we want you to stop it. We want you to move beyond it because it just takes practice. That's all. It just takes moving into. And the biggest practice is going to be letting go of the limiting beliefs, which is everything that we have given you. So we did something else. We had him go through and find all this information. But the wonderful thing that you're going to find, we used your artificial intelligence to interpret it, to give you an analysis so that you would figure out the energies are moving in this way. This is how it's going to affect me. This is how I can process through this. The most important thing that you're going to have is control of your mind, that peace of mind. When you can feel calm and accepting of yourself, that's when your life takes off. Because again, everything is energy, which is what we went through again today. Because when we gave you this information and we said, when many of you thought your world was going to end on the 21st of December of 2012, we said, no, wait. And we told you were going to use the energy of the word wait, because energy is how you manifest anything. And so when you become patient with that word, then things start to manifest in a different way instead of you saying, it's not going to happen, it's not me, and all of that. And so now we're at the day where that's all going to shift. Our messenger thought, am I done? We said, no, we want you to go to the 23rd, and you will all see this because we wanted to show you there's organization. He said this often, but he had difficulty believing it or that he had written it down, but he did. So we told him to go to the 23rd because we already had him do the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, 22nd. And you'll see that we gave you all the information in a spiral, because that's how you evolve, individually and collectively. You evolve in that way over linear time. We don't. We've been giving him information from the quantum field. That's why it was difficult for many to understand or accept. But now you can see it. Now you'll be able to read it, because our goal always was to cause more of you to know how valuable you are and how you can move through anything. We've given you the most extensive mindset, personal development training course that any human could ever want to have. But we had to show it first to our messenger to get him to believe it. What we're saying is that you will each do that in different ways. So we don't want you to judge yourself. We just want you to keep going. And now is the time where you can keep going, because the energies have shifted. This is a powerful new moon, which is why we had him do it on this day. It doesn't matter who might hear it today, because you usually don't hear our information until later, as you will hear the one from 3 years ago, and it'll make so much more sense to you now. But it didn't when it was first coming through. But that's how you all progress in your consciousness. And this is what we had to give you today, because you are that needed in the world. You're needed in your life, you see. Your life is that valuable, and everything we've done with our messenger was to bring a way for you to come to understand that. And it's been torturous for him, because no one understood what he was doing. He's had so much judgment and pushback, but now everyone will see, because you will not be able to read the information we're going to give you and find judgment, hatred, and all those things in there that you're seeing happening in your lives and in your world. This is what we wanted to help you eradicate because you came to do that yourselves. That's what we wanted to tell you. And this is why we're so grateful that you're all here. Now, we don't know if there are any questions, if anything is that you want to see. I think, Lance, if you have anything, or if anyone has anything. No? Okay. So we have nothing. This is perfect. We wanted to give you this today. We will give you the information. The main thing we wanted you to have are the workbooks and the information that you can work on yourself so you will understand what this work can do for you because it'll change your life. And if more people did it, as we've said, it will change your world. Imagine when you could come out not having judgment of yourself, not holding blame, deciding to do the thing that you love, deciding to love others and practice more forgiveness on yourself and others. Can you feel that if that were to go around, if more people were doing that, and we've given you each the way to do it. We can't make you do it as we said before, but now you know it's available. But the other thing we are doing is having our messenger own it because we're saying this purposefully, we're using the word need because you don't need anything, but for us, we need you to do this because we know that if you love yourself, that will be the world that you will all create. It'll be something quite different than what you've been experiencing, what you've been witnessing, or what you thought might have been happening. It's not happening. It's creating something better and brilliant. And now we've released our messenger from his self imposed prison, which many of you have created. And now he can own this weird thing because that's how he thought of it. I'm accessing universal consciousness and it's weird. And I don't want to be judged. And now he no longer cares because it's healed him and it can heal anyone and it could heal your world. And we thank you all so much for being here. And we're so grateful that we could give you this information because we know if we never see you, we know that this day and this information that you're going to receive is going to change your life and it will change your world. And you won't know how that's happening, but it's all energy again. And the more of you who do it, you'll see a very great difference in your lives, but also in your world. And we thank you so much, and we love you all so very much. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much, and I will get this together and get it out to everyone. Okay, see you soon.